Captain Veltar stared at the red warning lights flashing across his control panel. The stellar hope was dying, and he knew it. His ship had been exploring the outer rim when their main engine suddenly exploded. Now they were floating in empty space, far from any known colony or trade route. "Captain, oxygen levels are dropping fast," reported his second officer, her voice tight with worry. "We have maybe 8 hours before we all suffocate." Veltar looked around at his crew of 12. These weren't soldiers or explorers. They were scientists, researchers who had signed up for a peaceful mission to study distant stars. None of them deserved to die out here in the cold darkness. The ship's communication system was barely working, but it was their only chance. Veltar knew that sending out a distress signal was dangerous. Pirates roamed these empty sectors, looking for easy targets. Any ship that responded might just as easily capture them as help them. But what choice did they have? "Send out a general distress call," he ordered. "All frequencies. Maybe someone decent will hear us." The signal traveled through space at light speed, carrying their desperate plea into the void. It crossed dangerous regions filled with solar storms and deadly radiation. Most civilized species avoided this area completely. The galactic charts marked it as hazardous space for good reason. On Earth, Lieutenant Jin was having a quiet night shift at the Deep Space Monitoring Station. She was sipping her coffee and checking routine sensor readings when something unusual appeared on her screen. The computer started beeping rapidly. "What the hell?" Jin muttered, leaning forward to study the strange signal pattern. The translation software worked for several minutes, slowly making sense of the alien language. When the message finally appeared on her screen, Jin's coffee cup slipped from her. Hence it was a distress call from a species they had never met before. The coordinates showed they were stranded in one of the most dangerous regions of space, where even military ships rarely traveled. Jin immediately called Admiral Hai, waking her up at 3 in the morning. "Ma'am, you need to see this right now," Jin said, her voice shaking with excitement and fear. Admiral Hai arrived at the station within 20 minutes, still in her pajamas. When she read the translated message, her face went pale. "How long do they have?" she asked. "Based on their life support readings, maybe 6 or 7 hours," Jin replied. The Admiral stared at the coordinates on the screen. Getting there would be incredibly dangerous, but these aliens were going to die if nobody helped them. Communications Officer Min stared at her screen in disbelief. "Admiral, the signal is coming from the outer edge of our own solar system. That area is completely off-limits for civilian ships." Admiral Hai frowned as she studied the coordinates more carefully. The location was beyond Pluto, in a region filled with dangerous asteroid fields and unpredictable solar radiation. Even their own military avoided that area, unless absolutely necessary. "How did an alien ship even get there?" asked Lieutenant Jin, who was still tracking the signal. "That's not our problem right now," Hai replied firmly. "The question is how we get them out alive." Min pulled up the rescue protocols on her computer. "Ma'am, our nearest deep space rescue ships are stationed at Mars Colony. Even if they left right now, it would take them at least 3 weeks to reach those coordinates." 3 weeks? Hai shook her head. "Those aliens will be dead in hours, not weeks." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. The only ships capable of reaching the stranded aliens in time were the emergency fleet stationed right here, on Earth. But those ships weren't designed for long-range rescue missions in hazardous space. Hai made her decision quickly. "Get me Captain Tay on the comm. Tell him to prep the emergency fleet for immediate launch." Within minutes, Captain Tay appeared on the video screen from the orbital shipyard. His weathered face showed concern as Hai explained the situation. "Admiral, with respect, 12 hours is impossibly fast for a deep space mission," Tay said, shaking his head. "My ships need at least 2 days for proper preparation." We're talking about flying through some of the most dangerous space in the solar system. Captain, those aliens don't have 2 days, I replied. They don't even have 12 hours. We need to launch everything we have, right now. Tay looked at his ship's status reports. Ma'am, the Guardian and her sister ships weren't built for this kind of mission. We'll be pushing our engines way beyond safe limits. I know the risks, I said, but we're the only ones close enough to help. If we don't go, they die. It's that simple. Captain Tay was quiet for a moment, thinking about his crew and the dangers ahead. Then he nodded slowly. All right, Admiral. If we're doing this, we're doing it right. I'll have my team start loading supplies immediately. Then, we make the impossible possible, I said with determination. Those aliens called for help, and humanity is going to answer. The shipyard had never seen anything like it. Workers ran between the 5 rescue ships, loading supplies and checking systems at breakneck speed. Captain Tay stood on the bridge of the Guardian, watching his crew prepare for what might be a suicide mission. Engineering, what's our engine status? Tay called out. Captain, we're pushing these engines harder than they've ever been pushed, replied Chief Engineer Park. I can give you 110% power, but I can't promise they won't explode on us. That's a risk we'll have to take, Tay said grimly. Navigator Da was hunched over her charts, plotting their course through the most dangerous part of the solar system. Sir, we have a problem. There's a massive solar storm system between us and the target location. Most ships would take the long route around it. How long would that add to our journey? Tay asked. About 6 hours, Da replied. Those aliens don't have 6 hours, Tay said. Plot us a course straight through the storm. DA's eyes widened. Captain, that's incredibly dangerous. The radiation alone could fry our electronics. Then we better make sure our shields hold, Tay said with determination. 9 hours and 47 minutes after receiving the distress call, the human fleet launched. 5 ships rocketed away from Earth at speeds that made their hulls groan under the stress. The Guardian led the way, followed by the Rescue One, Deep Space, Horizon, and Swift. As they approached the edge of the solar system, Navigator DA watched her instruments with growing concern. Captain, we're entering the storm now. Radiation levels are off the charts. The ship shook violently as they flew through the solar storm. Outside the windows, brilliant flashes of energy lit up space like lightning. Any normal civilian ship would have been destroyed instantly. Meanwhile, aboard the dying Stellar Hope, Chief Science Officer Kexlin noticed something impossible on his sensors. Captain Veltar, I'm detecting ships approaching from the inner system, he reported, his voice filled with confusion. From where exactly? Veltar asked weakly. The lack of oxygen was making him dizzy. From the direction of Salthree, sir, Kexlin replied. Checking his readings again, the entire Zephyrian crew fell silent. Every civilized species in the galaxy knew about Salthree. It was listed in all their databases as a Class 12 Deathworld, completely uninhabitable. The planet was covered in violent storms, deadly creatures, and primitive beings who fought constantly among themselves. That can't be right, whispered another crew member. Nothing intelligent could survive on that nightmare planet. But the signals were getting stronger, and they were definitely coming from the direction of the legendary Deathworld. Sensor Officer, you stared at his screen in horror. Captain Tay, we're approaching the Maelstrom Belt. Sir, this is the ship graveyard of known space. The radiation and debris fields here have destroyed hundreds of vessels over the past century. Captain Tay looked at the swirling mass of twisted metal and deadly energy on the main display. The Maelstrom Belt stretched for millions of kilometers, filled with the wreckage of ships that had tried to cross it and failed. Solar radiation poured through the area in waves that could cook a crew alive. Navigator Da, is there any way around it? Tay asked, though he already knew the answer. Da shook her head. Sir, going around would add 4 hours to our journey. The aliens will be dead by then. Then we go through, Tay said firmly. All ships, maintain formation, and follow my lead. Chief Engineer Park's voice crackled over the comm from the engine room. Captain, I'm reading massive radiation spikes ahead. Our shields are going to take a beating. How much can they handle? Tay asked. Well, sir, these ships were built to handle Earth's magnetic storms and solar flares, Park replied. If any ships in the galaxy can make it through this mess, it's ours. The 5 human vessels entered the maelstrom belt like arrows shot into hell. Immediately, their hulls began to heat up as radiation washed over them. On the other rescue ships, captains watched their shield readings drop rapidly. Guardian, this is Captain Lee on the Swift, came a worried voice. My shields are down to 60% already. Hold steady, Tay replied. Remember, our ships survived Hurricane Category 6 storms on Earth. This is just another storm. Navigator Da guided them between massive chunks of destroyed some bigger than city blocks. These were the remains of alien vessels that had tried to cross the belt and failed. The debris field was so thick that it looked like a metal asteroid field. Sir, I'm detecting weapons fire residue on some of this wreckage, reported Yu. These ships didn't just get destroyed by radiation. Some of them were fighting each other when the belt killed them. Pirates, probably, Tay said grimly. They came here to hide and ended up dying instead. The radiation continued to pound their shields, but something amazing was happening. While alien ships had been torn apart by the same forces, the human vessels were holding together. Their hulls, designed to survive Earth's violent weather and magnetic field disruptions, were actually handling the punishment. This is incredible, Park reported from engineering. Our Earth-built systems are adapting to the radiation patterns. It's like our ships were designed for this kind of nightmare. Hours passed as they pushed deeper into the deadly belt, racing against time to save the dying aliens. When the human fleet finally emerged from the maelstrom belt, Captain Tay expected to find a single disabled alien ship drifting in space. Instead, his sensors detected 7 vessels surrounding the Stellar Hope like vultures circling their prey. Sir, those are Krovaxi pirate ships, reported Sensor Officer Yu, his voice tight with concern. They've got the alien vessel completely surrounded. Captain Tay studied the tactical display. The Krovaxi were notorious throughout the galaxy as ruthless pirates, who showed no mercy to their victims. Their ships were heavily armed and built for quick strikes against defenseless targets. They must have detected the same distress signal. We did, said Navigator Da, but they're not here to help. Aboard the Stellar Hope, Captain Veltar watched helplessly as the pirate ships closed in. His crew was barely conscious from lack of oxygen, and their weapons systems had failed hours ago. They were completely defenseless. Suddenly, 5 new ships appeared on their sensors, approaching fast. The pirate commander, Vexel, immediately hailed these newcomers with typical Krovaxi arrogance. Unknown vessels, you will withdraw immediately. Vexel's harsh voice echoed across all communication channels. This salvage belongs to the Krovaxi Empire. These primitives and their pathetic ship are our property now. The pirate commander looked at his tactical officer. What species are we dealing with? Sir, the ships appear to be from Selthri, the Deathworld, came the reply. Vexel laughed loudly, and his crew joined in. Deathworlders. Those savage primitives haven't even achieved proper galactic status yet. They probably built their ships from scrap metal and hope. Captain Tay opened a channel to both the pirates and the stranded aliens. His voice was calm but firm. This is Captain Tay of the Earth Rescue Fleet. We received a distress call and came to provide assistance. We're not here to claim territory or salvage. We're here to save lives. The pirates laughed even harder at this announcement. Vex could barely contain his amusement. Did you hear that? These Deathworld savages think they can rescue someone? Their ships probably can't even handle real weapons fire. Commander, one of his officers said. Our databases show that all three species are still using primitive technology. They're not even members of the Galactic Council. Exactly, Vexel replied with a cruel smile. Withdraw now, primitives, or we'll add your ships to our salvage collection. You have no idea what real space combat looks like. Captain Tay exchanged glances with his bridge crew. These pirates had no idea what they were dealing with. Ships built to survive Earth's harsh conditions were about to show them exactly what Deathworlders were capable of. Pirate Commander Vexel had enough of the humans' peaceful talk. All ships, open fire. Show these Deathworld primitives what happens when they interfere with Krovaxi business. 7 pirate vessels unleashed their weapons at once. Bright energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked across space toward the 5 human ships. The pirates expected to see the Earth vessels explode instantly, just like all the other helpless victims they had destroyed over the years. Instead, something incredible happened. The human ship's shields absorbed the incoming fire like it was nothing more than a light rain. What the hell? Shouted Dexel, staring at his tactical display. Why aren't their shields failing? His weapons officer looked confused. Sir, our plasma cannons should have cut right through their defenses, but their shield readings haven't even dropped. On the bridge of the Guardian, Captain Tay watched calmly as the pirate weapons bounced harmlessly off their shields. Return. Fire. All ships. Show them what Earth engineering looks like. The human fleet opened fire with weapons that made the pirates' eyes widen in terror. These weren't ordinary military weapons. They were industrial plasma cutters designed to slice through asteroids, and particle beam arrays built to clear dangerous space debris around Earth. The first volley from the Guardian hit the lead pirate ship like a hammer blow. The plasma beam, designed to cut through solid rock, went through the Krovaxi hull plating like it was made of paper. Our armor is useless, screamed the Krovaxi tactical officer as his ship shuddered under the impact. Their weapons are tearing us apart. Captain Tay opened a communication channel to the pirate fleet. Krovaxi vessels, you have one chance to withdraw peacefully. Our weapons are designed to clear meteor storms and break apart rogue asteroids. Your ships won't survive another volley. But Dexel was too proud to retreat. All ships, concentrate. Fire on their lead vessel. The pirates fired again, putting everything they had into their attack. Once again, the human shields held firm. Captain Lee on the Swift reported casually, shields down to 95%. Captain Tay, should we be worried? Not even close, Tay replied. These shields were built to handle solar flares and magnetic storms. Pirate weapons are nothing compared to what Earth throws at us every day. The second human volley was devastating. 2 pirate ships lost all power as their engines were surgically destroyed by precision plasma beams. Another had its weapon systems completely disabled by particle bombardment designed to pulverize space rock. This is impossible, Dexel shouted as his fleet fell apart around him. They're just primitives from a backwater planet. Captain Tay could have easily destroyed the remaining pirate ships. Their weapons were clearly no match for human technology, but destroying them wasn't the point. He had come here to save lives, not take them. Navigator Da, show me the local space map. Tay ordered. Da pulled up a 3-dimensional display of the area around them. The region was filled with dense asteroid fields and several gravitational anomalies left over from an ancient stellar collision. Most ship captains avoided this area completely because of these natural hazards, but Tay saw opportunity where others saw danger. All ships, new formation, he commanded. We're going to push these pirates toward the gravity well at coordinates 847 to 231, sir. That gravity well is strong enough to trap ships permanently, warned you from the sensor station. Exactly, Tay replied with a slight smile. But we're not going to let them fall in. We're just going to show them what could happen. The 5 human ships began a coordinated movement that the pirates had never seen before. Instead of charging straight at their enemies like most species did, the humans were using the asteroid field itself as a weapon. "What are they doing?" Commander Dexel asked his tactical officer, watching the strange human formation. "I don't know, sir. They're moving behind those asteroids, but they're not trying to hide from us." Suddenly, the human ships opened fire, again, but not at the pirates. Their plasma beams struck specific asteroids, causing them to shift and spin in new directions. The humans were literally reshaping the battlefield around them. "Sir, they're hurting us," shouted the Krovaxi navigator. "They're using the asteroids to push us toward the gravity well." Vexel realized with growing horror that the humans weren't just better armed and defended, they were better tacticians. They understood how to use their environment in ways his people had never even considered. The pirate ships found themselves trapped in a slowly tightening circle of drifting asteroids, being pushed steadily toward the deadly gravity well. Every time they tried to break free, human plasma beams would redirect more space rocks to block their escape routes. Captain Tay opened a final communication channel to the Krovaxi fleet. His voice was calm, but carried an unmistakable threat. "Krovaxi vessels, you now have two choices. Leave this system immediately and never return, or we demonstrate why species that evolved on Deathworlds make very poor enemies." The pirates looked at their tactical display. They were minutes away from being pulled into the gravity well, with no way out. For the first time in his career, Commander Vexel ordered a full retreat. With the pirates gone, the real work began. Captain Tay immediately ordered his repair teams to board the dying alien vessel. The Stellar Hope was in terrible condition. With failing life support and critical systems offline throughout the ship, Chief Engineer Wu floated through the alien corridors with her toolkit, studying the unfamiliar technology. "Captain, there? Engineering is completely different from ours, but I think I can get their life support working again," she reported over the radio. The Zephyrian crew watched in amazement as human engineers crawled through their ship's damaged systems. These beings from the legendary Deathworld worked with tools and techniques they had never seen before, somehow making their alien technology function again. "Medical officer, Bo set up a treatment station in the Stellar Hope's main corridor." The Zephyrian crew members were barely conscious from oxygen deprivation and radiation exposure. Bo worked quickly, using portable oxygen units to stabilize them while checking each alien for injuries. "Don't worry, you're safe now," Bo told them. In their translated language, her voice gentle and reassuring. "Just breathe slowly and let the oxygen do its work." Captain Veltar, the Zephyrian commander, was finally able to speak after Bo gave him emergency oxygen treatment. He looked at Captain Tay with confusion and gratitude mixed in his large, dark eyes. "I must ask you something," Veltar said weakly. "Our databases show that your species comes from Sol 3, a Class 12 Deathworld. Your people are listed as primitive and violent. Why would you risk your lives crossing dangerous space to help complete strangers?" Tay sat down beside the alien captain, his expression sincere. "Because someone called for help," he said simply. "That's what civilized beings do." Veltar stared at him. "But we could have been pirates ourselves. We could have been your enemies. You didn't know anything about us." "No, we didn't," Tay agreed. "But your message was a plea for help, not a threat. When someone is dying and calls out for rescue, good people respond. It doesn't matter what species they are or where they come from." The concept seemed to shock every Zephyrian on board. In their part of the galaxy, species only helped their own kind, and usually only for payment or political advantage. The idea that strangers would risk everything just to save lives was completely foreign to them. "Your databases are wrong about us," Tay continued. "Yes, Earth is a dangerous world, and yes, humans have fought wars. But we've also learned that survival means helping each other. We're stronger when we work together." The Zephyrian crew exchanged amazed glances, realizing they had encountered something truly extraordinary. 3 months had passed since the rescue of the Stellar Hope, and Admiral High's quiet office had become the busiest place on Earth. Her desk was covered with communication logs, rescue reports, and requests for help from species she had never even heard of before. Lieutenant Jin knocked on her door and entered with yet another stack of messages. "Admiral, we've got 17 more distress calls that came in overnight. This one's from the Andromedan sector. This one's from a mining colony in the Vega system. And this one?" Jin paused, looking confused. "This one's from a species that doesn't even have a translation protocol yet." Hai rubbed her tired eyes. Ever since Captain Veltar and his crew had returned home, word about the Deathworld Guardians had spread across the galaxy faster than anyone could have imagined. The Zephyrians hadn't just told their government about the rescue. They had broadcast the story to every species they knew, describing how beings from the infamous Sol 3 had risked everything to save complete strangers. "What's the status of our rescue fleets?" Hai asked. "Captain Tay and the Guardian are currently helping a stranded passenger ship near Jupiter. Captain Lee took the Swift to rescue some scientists whose research station lost power. The other fleets are spread across for different star systems," Jin reported. Hai stood up and walked to her window, looking out at the orbital shipyards where new rescue vessels were being built around the clock. Earth's entire space program had changed almost overnight. Instead of focusing on exploration and defense, humanity was now building the largest rescue fleet in galactic history. "Admiral, there's something else," Jin said softly. "I've been monitoring alien communication networks. They have a new phrase that's spreading everywhere." "What kind of phrase?" Hai asked. "When ships get into trouble, when colonies face disasters, when anyone, anywhere needs help, they all say the same thing now," Jin explained. "Send word to Sol 3. Hai smiled despite her exhaustion. 3 months ago, most of the galaxy had never heard of humanity. Earth was just another small planet in an unremarkable star system. But now, across thousands of star systems and dozens of different species, the phrase, 'send word to Sol 3, had become synonymous with hope in the darkest of times. "Prep all available fleets," she told Jin. "It looks like we're officially in the rescue business now, and something tells me we're just getting started." The galaxy had found its guardians, and they came from the most unlikely place of all,